Okay, today I'm going to talk about my water pump. I'm about to take the water pump off and put a new one on. The seal underneath the bottom, I guess over the years it sprung a little leak and antifreeze was just dripping out of the bottom. Here's the weep hole, and the weep hole didn't show any signs that the that the water pump was going out, but the water leaking out, that's a sign. Now, the other day I went to the mountains, and it makes sense to me now. My overflow reservoir sprung a leak, and I'll show you that video. You can see where the water or the antifreeze is just shooting out of my overflow leak. My overflow, and yeah, that's not what you want. So after I replaced the overflow, which I'll have a video link to that video, I replaced the overflow, and that made sense to me now that the water was leaking out of here and it put that much pressure on my overflow. So right now I have everything off, but I'm about to put it back on to show you how to take it off. Okay, I put everything back on so I can show you how you take it off. You take the engine cover off, then you take your little shields out. You simply get a screwdriver, pop that out, pop the whole thing out, and then your little shields come off. You have one here, and you have one there. Now you need to get this air tube out of the way. You use a flathead screwdriver right there, use a flathead screwdriver right there, and then you have a clip. Take this clip out. You have a hole, a tube that goes to your valve cover that connects to the tube right here. That connects to the air chamber. So you disconnect that, pull this off. So you take this out of your way, and now you're left with, here's the pulley right in front of your water pump. These 4 bolts are at 8mm, so you want to loosen them up right now, because if you release the tension of the belt, when you go to take these 8mm bolts off, the whole pulley will just spin. So you loosen these up right now. Don't take them off, just loosen them. Again, 8mm. Loosen them. Loosen. Loosen. The next step is, here's your belt tensioner. This is a 1/2 inch, so you put your 1/2 inch breaker bar in there and release the tension. Okay, I have my breaker bar in there. As I push forward, you can see the tensioner moves down, and that releases the tension off the belt. So I'll go ahead and take the belt off of the pulley and then move to the next step. Now that I've released the tension on the belt, I took the belt off of the pulley. Before you take this belt off of the pulley, either take a picture or draw a diagram of how the belt intertwines around all these other pulleys. So what you want to do is take these 4 bolts out, and then you'll be faced with the water pump. I'll show you that in a second. Okay, then you simply remove your pulley, and that's all your pulley looks like. You remove the pulley, and here's your water pump. Get the belt out of the way. The water pump has 1, there's another bolt right here, 2, bolt right here, 3, 1 directly under here, 4, and 5. These are all 10mm bolts. You take those out. Before you do that, either drain your antifreeze or put a bucket under here, because you don't want your antifreeze going all over the place. So these 10 bolts, whole water pump comes off. I'll show you that in a second. Okay, I'm taking these 10mm bolts off, and I have my bucket underneath to catch any antifreeze that drips on down. So I'll just back all these off and show you what it looks like. Okay, right here is the last bolt All the bolts are roughly 1 inch to 1.5 inches long, but they're all the exact same size, so you don't have to worry about which one goes where. All 5 bolts are out and the water pump still didn't come off, so you're probably going to have to help it out a little bit. So let me get a screwdriver and see if I could pry it off. Okay, after you get the bolts off, I just went and got me a long screwdriver, positioned it right here, put a little bit of pressure, and it just popped right on off, and the antifreeze just flowed straight down into the bucket I had under the vehicle. Okay, looking at the water pump, you have a seal, you have a rubber seal that goes right here, and this is where mine broke. Right here, there's a little seal, and that little seal gave way, and that's where mine broke. Here's the top. This is how it sits in there. So like I said, there's only 5 bolts, and you can see it sits in the car just like this, and it's just those 5 bolts. Now that I have the water pump out and I'm able to inspect it a little bit better, as I'm turning it like this, it turns real free. I don't feel any hang-ups, any grinding, I don't feel any wobbling or nothing. But with that being said, at first I thought that this was the cause of the problem. It was leaking right here under the seal, and that's not the case. The case is, it's behind where the pulley sits. It's right there. I don't know how good you can see, but right here is where all the antifreeze was coming out. So it was on that little silver shaft that the pulley sits on. So that's where the leak is. I was wrong. But in any event, I have it off. So let me go ahead and fix it. Now that I have the water pump off the car, I can inspect a little bit better. As you see, it spins real fine. It's real free, no wobbles. I don't hear any noise, and yet it still broke. I thought the seal up in here was the case, but that wasn't it. Right here where the pulley sits on, behind the little shaft that helps the pulley spin, that's where it broke, or at least that's where the leak occurred. And as you can see, it's just leaking down right here. Now with that being said, even a water pump that has a free spin, they can still go out. So just because it's spinning free doesn't mean anything, and just because the weep hole doesn't have any antifreeze leaking out, that doesn't mean anything either. So just a tip. Okay, I just got my new pump. It's an ACD Professional. Let me take it out, see what it looks like. You get a new O-ring, you get some new hardware. This is the hardware that would attach the pulley. Here's the water pump. Let me take it out and compare them. Okay, here's the new one. It's an AC Delco, so it is original to the vehicle. The design has changed a little bit, but all the holes and everything seems to line up. So as I spin this is a little tighter to spin. It's a little tighter to spin than this one. This one does kind of turn real free. This one's a little tight, so maybe that was the issue. Okay, now installation is going to go like this. I'm going to put my new O-ring on. I'm going to tighten the 5 10 millimeter bolts to specs. I'm going to put the pulley on. I'm going to put the belt on. I'm going to put the remaining hoses on. Put my shield back on. Fill it up with antifreeze. Take it for a test drive. Make sure it's not leaking. And then I'm done. Okay, right here I put the O-ring on. Then I'm going to line it back up. Okay, it lines up perfect. I put the first bolt in. I'll go ahead and put the remaining 4. Okay, here's a little tip on tightening it down. This is an aluminum water pump, so you don't want to tighten it down too tight, and you want to tighten it in a star pattern. So, you know, top, bottom, left, right. So everything will get tightened down evenly and snug. Remember, you want it tight, not over tight. It is aluminum. You will crack this thing. Okay, once you go ahead and put the pulley on and line up these 4 8 millimeter bolts, just go ahead and hand tighten them. because if you put the ratchet on, it'll just continue to turn the pulley. So hand tighten it, put the belt on, then go ahead and tighten these down. Okay, now that the air tube is hooked up, go ahead and tighten this with a Phillips. Tighten that one with a Phillips. Don't forget to plug in your mass airflow sensor, and don't forget to plug in this hose that's connected to the valve cover. Okay, now that everything is hooked up, it's time for me to put the antifreeze in. I'm using this Dex Cool because I have a GM vehicle. Make sure whatever your owner's manual says, use that antifreeze. Okay, right now I have the car running. I'm checking to see if there's any leaks, making sure the pulleys are turning perfectly, making sure that the antifreeze is being sucked in so I can go ahead and put it in the right level. So I'm going to go ahead and top this off, take it for a test drive, and fill this back, and then you're done. As usual, I appreciate you guys watching. If you have any questions, feel free to hit me up. I'll be sure to answer them.